Yo, what's going on? It's your boy, Mr. Locario. What's poppin'? So in this video, I want to talk about how people will try to make things more complicated than it needs to be or overcomplicate things, basically to manipulate you, right? So what happens is that most things, right, are very simple, right? Most things that people talk about or issues they have or a certain situation that they're in, right, is very simple to explain, is very simple to express themselves. But what they do is that they make it sound more complicated than it needs to be. And they do this on purpose to manipulate you. Now, what am I talking about here? So for example, I'll give a few examples. So the other day, we did a live stream on the other channel. And it was this lady, I forgot her name, but she has this channel where she talks about, relationships. And in this particular video, she was talking about how, when she was married, she did what a lot of women would do, which is lose interest in having sex with their husbands, right? And so there was a part of the video where she was saying that, the husband would want to have sex and she would come up with all these reasons and excuses as to why she can't have sex, and then also some more things that she came up with as to tell her husband to say, hey, if you do this or do that, then maybe I'll be more in the mood to have sex. So for example, she would say, oh, I'm just not in the mood, and maybe if you take me out on more dates, then I'd feel more romantic feelings towards you. Or hey, if we read these books and go to these like couples counseling things, and maybe that's going to help get me in the mood to want to have sex with you. Maybe if you take out the garbage and clean up more, then it'll make me want to have sex with you. So it's all this extra stuff, right? Overcomplicating the situation. But the reality is that the woman just doesn't want to have sex with the guy. That's the reason. There's nothing about, he has to be more romantic and do it. No. They're not having sex because she doesn't want to have sex, because she lost interest in him sexually. That's it. So instead of saying all that and making it complicated, all she needs to tell the guy is, hey, I'm not interested in having sex with you. But most people aren't going to do that because they want to manipulate you. Now, you're probably like, wow, why do they want to manipulate you? The reason why they want to manipulate you and make things complicated is because they basically want something from you. There's a benefit. So in this situation, the wife is still getting the benefit of, providing, the guy providing, protecting, giving that woman security and giving that woman consistency, right? So she's going to overcomplicate the situation, say it's about this, but what it really is about is that she's not sexually attracted to him anymore, or she's just not, she just don't want to have sex with the guy anymore, right? But instead of saying that, what she's going to do is she's going to try to overcomplicate it with a bunch of bullshit, right? Another example, you have a guy dealing with a woman, and that, woman is interested in a long-term relationship with the guy, and they've been seeing each other, for a long time. And he's like, oh, what it is, it's like, I just need to get my shit together, and I'm not really ready right now for that type of relationship, but I really like you, but I'm kind of in between things right now at work, and I need to make more money and blah, blah, blah. So he's saying all this extra stuff to overcomplicate it. But the reality is he just doesn't like her like that to be in a relationship with her, right? He don't really, the answer is he does not like you like that. You understand? But he's trying to overcomplicate the situation so that he can keep you there and benefit from what he wants out of the situation. So maybe he likes the fact that this girl gives some good sloppy toppy. Maybe he likes the fact that this woman is consistent with him and the sex is good, or she, he's staying at her place or whatever. He doesn't have a place to stay, whatever it is, right? But he's trying to manipulate her into thinking if she just sticks in there and, if she stays like, around, then maybe one day he'll, want to be in that type of relationship with her. But all of that is just really trying to overcomplicate a certain thing when the answer is simple. He's not really into her like that, but he's stringing it along by trying to make shit complicated and manipulate her so he can benefit in other ways, right? Let's say a person is, throwing a party and they invite, some people to the party, and then the person that they invite, they're like, oh, actually, like, you know, I have a lot of work I got to do, and then I got to pick up my kid, and then my mother-in-law is supposed to be coming in, so I got to clean up the house and all. So they're making it overcomplicated, but they just really don't want to come to the party. So the answer really is, I just don't want to come to your party. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not interested in coming to your party. But they're overcomplicating this situation because they want to manipulate you, because there's still something that they benefit from in the interaction or the relationship y'all have. So instead of saying, I just don't want to come to your party because I think your party sucks, or I just don't like to be in the same room with you, you know, that person might be, you know, overcomplicating it and manipulating the situation because they get some benefit. So for example, let's say that person that's throwing the party babysits your kids or something like that, you know, in times of, like, you know, you had to do something, they watch your kids, or, you know, they house sit your place when you have to do this or that, right? So you don't want to ruin that relationship. So what you do is overcomplicate that particular situation and make them think the reason why you're not coming to the party is because all of this other stuff, but you're really just not coming because you don't want to come. You see what I'm saying? So instead of just saying you don't want to come, you try to make it into this big fucking thing. Now, the next example I have is a person, let's say there's a woman, she, you know, calls her job, oh, I'm really sick. You know, I've been coughing all day and I feel like I'm going to throw up. I have a really big headache, and I know I was supposed to be in today because it was that meeting, but I was thinking maybe we could get Karen to do that, and then I might be able to come in a little later, but I'm not sure. I don't want to make any promises because I'm feeling sick and blah, blah, blah. And they're saying all of this shit. But the reality is that, you know, she just doesn't want to come to work, right? But she can't say that. She's not going to say that. Why? Because she has to manipulate the situation. She has to make the shit more complicated. Oh, I'm dying. I feel sick, blah, 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 blah. Because she just can't call and say, hey, I don't feel like coming to work today. Because, you know, she benefits from getting paid and all that other stuff. So, you know, she doesn't want to get fired. You understand? So a lot of times in these situations, right, people try to, you know, overcomplicate the situation by adding all this extras on these things that don't really pertain to the situation, when there's really a simple reason as to why, you know, they don't want to do this or don't want to do that, or don't want to be here, or don't want to make this happen. And the funny part is that, you know, it gets even deeper, because sometimes people will do this, you know, to themselves, meaning that they will sort of overcomplicate things in their mind to manipulate themselves, right? And the reason why people will do this is because they want to see themselves a certain way, right? And the benefit of that is, you know, the relationship they have with themselves is they want to keep up a certain image and keep the lie going and keep the bullshit going, so they don't have to look in the mirror and actually, you know, face reality. So, like, for example, you might have a guy who, you know, let's say, for example, you know, he doesn't want to go to the gym, and he'll come up with, oh, you know, I'm just working 2 jobs right now. I don't really have time, you know, and also I got this big project for school. So, you know, I just don't have time to go to the gym, you know, and you know, on top of that, like, you know, I got to get up early for the next few months because I got to do this thing. And so he's coming up with all of this shit, right? But the reality is that he just don't want to go to the gym. So instead of saying, hey, I don't want to go to the gym, he'll make this, you know, big fucking complex reason as to why he can't go to the gym. But the reality is he just don't want to go, right? So this motherfucker is making shit more complicated than it needs to be to manipulate his own self. You understand? To see himself a certain way so that he could keep up this lie in his mind as to why he can't go to the gym. But the reality is he just don't want to go. And see, the issue with all this is, right, is that, you know, you have people out there who will, basically have this type of energy when it comes to dealing with you, because they want to keep some type of, they want to keep some type of relationship with you. So they'll never be straight up with you, and they'll, make these like weird ass fucking excuses and stories and things to make, a simple reason into something more complicated than it is. And they can't be straight up with you. You understand what I'm saying? Because they fear losing that relationship that they have with you. And like I said, there's also that deeper reason of a person manipulating their own self. You understand? To try to see themselves a certain way so that they can keep up that ego, to keep up this false sense that they have of themselves when they're looking in the mirror. You understand? But understand that, shit is not that complicated. It's real simple. When you break it all the way down, it's real simple. And so the next time, you're talking to somebody and they come up with this complex reason as to why things can't happen, or things are going this way, or this is the reason why such and such, understand that they're bullshitting you. They're manipulating you. They're, bringing this up because they don't have the balls. They don't have the courage to let you know what the real reason is. Right? And when you're doing this to yourself, you don't have the courage to be real with yourself.